What is up with all the drug companies,
Yeah,
like campaign contributions?
yeah. Um, I will tell you the legislature, like every state has a swamp. Arizona has a swamp down there at the Capitol. I was in the Freedom Caucus and the leadership of the Freedom Caucus. There's good members down there, and then there's members that are just, I think I wouldn't say bought and paid for by special interests, but they definitely have an influence over them. And it's definitely a swamp, and we need really good people to run for those positions because it has more impact on people's lives than what most people know. The state does,
That's that's true. Very true. And
and
then
it's all sides of the aisle because most people think it's the swamp is Republican versus Democrat. I'm like, no, it's actually the people versus like the contract lobbyists, and
yeah.
sometimes that can have a real effect on legislation, whether it's good or bad. And so, like a perfect example is RFK when he was before he was officially nominated for HHS by Trump. Obviously, the rumors were going around that he was going to get selected for that. And the healthcare lobby and the pharmaceutical lobbies, they already went to work on whipping votes to stop people from that. Same thing goes for national security and defense, like with Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard. So the lobby has a lot of power and it influences a lot of members, and that's not just in Congress, that's in our states as well.
I started going down the rabbit hole on campaign
Yes.
contributions and all of that. And I'm noticing Pfizer and Bristol Myers. What is up with all the drug companies,
Yeah.
like campaign contributions?
Yeah, I will tell you just from the ones I sent over to you because I this is the we also track PAC and lobbyist donations at Turning Point Action to members of Congress, and now we're going to start going into the state legislatures. The swing state ones first. Arizona will be our first model, and yeah, I mean there is some members that get over 30,000, upwards to $100,000 in PAC contributions from I call them the industry lobby, whether that's in healthcare, that could be in the tour, or that could be in the trial lawyers. That could be, like CVS gives out money, home builders give out money, mining industries give money, and it's perfectly legal. But the problem sometimes comes in the fact where every member of the legislature or Congress, their entire campaigns are bankrolled by the industry special interest PACs. Lobbyists obviously give money as well that they sometimes doesn't get as much money as what a PAC donation could be because sometimes a PAC donation can be more than from what an individual can contribute. So like the individual contribution for a campaign is $5,400. A political action committee can give up to $10,000 or a little bit more from what I believe. And so when those PACs, who are they represented by? The lobbyists. And so those lobbyists are able to have that company start a political action committee and give money to the campaign for those candidates.
Is there anything in your research that you're finding that there might be something ahead on the horizon by seeing who's contributing and how much? Do the contributions tell a story?
They do tell a story. You can see which industries support specific lawmakers. Obviously, you'll see some lawmakers are getting $70,000 to $100,000 in political action committee donations just from industry and labor organizations, not from like political organizations, which is a little bit different. So, like if um, Turning Point were to donate money to a candidate, we're a conservative organization. Yes, we have things that we believe in or we oppose. If you look at on the other side, somebody, let's say, like you mentioned, Pfizer, if Pfizer were to give a contribution to a candidate, that kind of tells you, maybe which course that they like, who's going to be in favor of their legislation, who's going to stick up for their legislation or oppose legislation that, hinders their organization and their company. There's nothing illegal about it. I think the underlying problem is, though, is that you will get a lot of lawmakers at the state level and in Congress that are controlled by these special interests, that their reelection campaigns depend on how much money they make or how much money they raise from these industry PACs and industry organizations, labor organizations, unions, teachers unions, political action committees that are connected to a specific industry. I think that in Arizona, healthcare is a huge lobbying. They're one of the most powerful ones in Arizona that has to do with access in the state, has to do with Medicare and Medicaid federally as well. Um, the um, the home builders as well when it has to come with water. I personally was, my campaign in 2022. I didn't get a lot of political action committee donations. I raised most of my money privately from small donors or people that were individuals that could get close to a max out. But I did get political action committee contributions, and they were primarily from agriculture and the home builders and mining. Those things also affected my district, and so I was, connecting to those as well. It didn't influence my vote, but that's not the same for everyone. A lot of people will vote specifically just how their donors say or their special interests say, and that's a problem. That's a really big problem. Perfect example is, the healthcare lobby in Arizona. There is a plethora of healthcare bills and medicine bills and pharmaceutical bills that come before the legislature and our U.S. Congress every single year, and you can find out really quick where members stand sometimes depending on who they were bankrolled by in their campaign. So, like you mentioned, you were doing your own research, and you could really go down a rabbit hole and see where these things come from. And most people think, it's the lobbyists that will influence votes for people, but you also have to look at the political action committee contributions. See exactly who's supporting these people. If it's an industry that doesn't have sometimes the best public perception, maybe they've done some things in the past that could be questionable to shareholders, to stakeholders, or to the public at large, should always give people some pause, if not just the pause, just complete transparency that they got half of their campaign funded by these specific industry or labor organizations.